Hello and welcome to our Embase webinar. My name is Chris and I'm your host today. I am here with our Embase expert, Anne-Marie Roche. Anne-Marie has a biology background and has delivered Embase training for several years. She works closely with the Embase product team and our customers to understand how Embase provides a solution for many different workflows. Today she will show you how to build search strategies in Embase. I would like to point out that we will place this webinar online so that you can listen to it again on your own time. During the session, you may send us your questions by using the chat or ask a question function on the webinar control panel. We will have 15 minutes for questions at the end, and for those questions we do not answer in the webinar, they will be included in a complete Q&A sent to all attendees by email. If you wish to have a full screen view, please click on the red arrow. Your control panel will be hidden. Click again on the red arrow to see your control panel again. That's it for now. Let's tell you more about Embase and how to build search strategies. Welcome, Emtree.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to everyone for attending today. I would like to get started by firstly reminding you about registering in Embase. So we're talking today about building search strategies, and once you have that perfect search strategy, then you probably want to hold on to it. So registering in Embase, which you can see at the top of the screen, allows you to log in, and some of the advantages that you will see then are to set up email alerts, for example, and here you see our saved searches and our email alerts. So these allow you to come back to edit searches, to continue to track information around those searches. Logging on will really help there. Just to remind you, setting up email alerts, saving your searches, and of course staying up to date so you get information on webinars such as the one that you're attending today and new releases, for example. So let's make a start and start looking at building search strategies in Embase. So planning your systematic searching. So you know, of course, the importance of doing this to systematically retrieve the maximum number of highly relevant references, not missing anything, and to extract relevant answers. So some of the questions that you may be asking when organizing your search are, which content publication types do you need to cover? How will you find the best terms? Do you want a comprehensive or a more broad search, or indeed do you want a more specific search? And how can you best do that? Do you need to limit to specific years, age groups, or specific studies? Are there specific subheadings for drugs and diseases? And all of these we hope that we can help you answer today. So we are assuming that you are already searching in Embase. For those of you who aren't, we do have introductory sessions as well, and we will have a little bit of foundation as well. But we're hoping for those who have attended today that there's something new and something useful for building up your search strategies and indeed your knowledge of Embase. So just to remind you of the content selection, so important to know which content you are searching. Some of you may have seen this already. So of course we have the Embase journal collection, indexed by Emtree, and we have the additional Medline titles, which are then mapped to the Embase indexing, giving you a complete biomedical coverage of over 7,700 journals. Conference abstracts are not always prominent. We do cover conference abstracts back to 2009, and of course the currency, articles in press, and in process are also included. And for more information on coverage, then you can check out our info site, and you'll get full list of conference abstracts and indeed journals as well. So, finding the best term. We recommend starting with Emtree. Emtree is the thesaurus used to index Embase, and you can search for over 60,000 terms, including mesh terms, and over 30,000 drugs and chemical terms. Emtree allows you to not only search, but also take these terms and use them to build up your search. So, for example, here you can click to search further in an Embase search form, mapping all synonyms. Explosion and major focus we will be coming back to later on. But these are important ways of either broadening your search or indeed refining your search and making it more specific. And you can indicate that before taking your search to the drug search form. You can click here on the term itself, and this will do an explosion search straight to your search results. And important to mention that Emtree is updated 3 times per year, and you can find more information on Emtree and all the new terms that are added at each release on the info site at this address. So, reviewing an Emtree term, there's more information that can be found. You can consider the term's history, and we'll be talking a little bit about backposting in a moment. Synonyms. So take note of any synonyms listed. If the synonym is listed, then of course you don't need to worry about adding that to your search form. It will already be mapped to the Emtree term, therefore giving you comprehensive results. If of course there are synonyms not included for one reason or another, then we do want to hear from you, so we can try to add those synonyms. And of course in the meantime, in order to be comprehensive, then it is something that you can add to your search when building it up. CAT registry numbers are also displayed, and these are searchable numbers as well, and the Dorland's Medical Dictionary. So, backposting. So, entry terms do change, such as trade names becoming new generic names. So, how do you find all the articles, not only those indexed from the date of the new term? And this is where backposting comes in. We backpost at every Emtree update, which means that you can be confident that you are finding terms going further back, and that you can finding all the articles indexed with that term, not just from when the new term was added. We have an example here for you. So Nintedanib was added to Emtree in 2012, and it replaced Nintedanib. Okay? So important when you're now searching, you want to think about, do I need to look differently for this term before 2012? And no, because of the backposting, we've covered that for you. So here we're looking at, we've done a search for Nintedanib, and using the filters on the left-hand side, you can see that we have results going back to at least 2004. And if I open up one of those records for you, then you can see from a record from 2008, for example, that Nintedanib indeed has been indexed. Limiting and refining. There are many options for limiting and refining, and I'm just going to show you a few before we do some searches. So we do have options for searching in specific fields. Here we have the advanced search form with a field limit. So you can perform a search in the title and abstract field. Fields such as drug trade name, unique to Embase, and CAT registry numbers may also be searched. So rather than looking for a number in every field in Embase, or indeed a trade name, if you're interested in tracking a specific trade name important to you, then again, rather than looking in all fields, you can specify fields where our indexers have placed that information. Filters. So the most common type of search filters are for specific study types. Other filters include publication type, and I've included a link here, so you may review our full list of study types for yourself, of which there are 14. We have 78 drug and disease subheadings. This is the drug search form showing our drug subheadings and routes of drug administration. So are these something that you need to consider to add certain concepts to your searching? And of course we have the disease subheadings as well. So building searches in Embase. I've used a little image here, building blocks. And sometimes it seems like that. So you take individual blocks, and of course what you want to do is build it into a comprehensive search. So the first example that we're going to look at is finding disease management studies for type 2 diabetes. So let me take you into Embase, and I'll start on the home page. Okay, so looking for type 2 diabetes, let's start our search in Emtree. So we can start with diabetes, for example, just so like we saw on our slide. let's look for the information that we need in Emtree. We find diabetes mellitus. And now, if I scroll down, I can see all of the narrower terms, child terms, for diabetes mellitus. Okay? And I know that it is non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, which I then click on. Okay? Now I can look specifically for this term. And if I go down, I can explore, for example, see that it was added in 1979, but we can see here all the synonyms as well. So we see type 2 diabetes mellitus, for example. So these are all terms which can be used in your search. And likewise, in the indexers that found these terms in the Embase article, they have matched them to non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. So let's move up again, and we have explosion on already, which isn't so relevant here when we're looking for type 2 diabetes mellitus. But let's take this query to our disease search as a nice handy option. It populates the field for us, and since we were interested in disease management, we can select disease management from the disease subheading, and we can do the search. Very simple. And we come to our session results. From your session results, you have a number of options. Now you have your results already. Now, if you start to scan over the search itself, you can see, for example, that you have an edit button here. If we click on edit, this means that we can actually edit our search here in line. So, for example, I can add "and human" /DE. Now, the /DE is something important to mention. There is exact searching and phrase searching in Embase. And /DE will always give you all the index records for human, which is the most precise, obviously. And using the :DE could potentially bring up articles where human is mentioned as a concept. So you could have human immunodeficiency, for example, or other phrases where human is involved. So let's do this. And we can test our search. We have 2062, and we can accept an update. Okay, so we have a new set of results. Now, likewise, what I could do is I can zoom over again, and I can copy to disease search. Now, this is something quite different, because once I bring it back here, then, of course, I can start to select options from the search form itself. And to be sure, or when you're maybe a little bit new to Embase, then, of course, coming back to the search form might make a lot more sense. So let's take the human out for now, just as an experiment. And we'll keep our disease management in there. And let's use major focus, for example. So we did see explosion, and we saw diabetes mellitus and all the narrower terms in Emtree. And using explosion, we could, of course, search at the diabetes mellitus level. But here we're searching at the non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, and we're going to narrow our search a little by using major focus. So this is where we're looking for the articles where the indexers have indicated that non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus is a major disease in the article to treat. And let's do another search. And this time you can see that we have made a difference to the number of results that we've got there. Now, you can do a little bit of exploring as well once you've actually found your results. And one thing that I find quite useful is indeed to review the index records of the results that you've got. For example, you could have a look at the index term to see what kinds of other terms have been used when in the articles which have indexed non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. And this can, if you're looking to build up your search, then this can be a way of finding additional terms which may help you pinpoint the information that you are looking for. Okay, so that was our first search. What I'd like to do is now go back to our slides very quickly. And I'd like to take you to another question before we move to the poll, and that's we're going to look at tracking the efficacy of saxagliptin in treating diabetes type 2. And we're going to look a little bit further at explosion search by looking at the dipeptidal group as a whole. So we'll do an explosion search there. And we'll look a little bit more at combining our searches as well. So let me take you back into Embase, and we'll have a look for the efficacy. So I'm going to start in the drug search form this time. We had a look in Emtree before, but of course, if we're familiar with the terms, then we don't always need to search in Emtree. But like we said, it is a good idea to check out new terms there with regards to synonyms, for example. So if I type in my saxagliptin here, and I'm interested in efficacy, so I'm going to look for the most appropriate subheading, which in this case is pharmacokinetics. So I'm interested in how this drug moves through the body. I want to find articles on the pharmacokinetics. So let me do a search. Now you'll notice that that I'm not using any year ranges here. Now you may be interested, of course, of looking at new articles added from a particular time. And of course, you can do that in Embase as well. For the purposes of this webinar, we're leaving it at the default, which is all years. So let's click on search again. And we have our first set of results, 75. So quite a small, manageable set of results. And let's now go to our disease search form, because we're also interested in looking at our type 2 diabetes. So this time, I can say, for example, type 2 diabetes. Just to get the spelling right. Okay. And you notice I'm enclosing in single quotes. I'm going to choose drug therapy this time. I'm going to do search. We've got type 2 diabetes mellitus, drug therapy. And what I can do now is I can combine both of those sets of results. So I have saxagliptin, I have type 2 diabetes mellitus, and I can combine using the default and because I want a set of results which looks at both. Okay? And I have a manageable set of 66 records. And if I go to review those records, for example, with the index term, and I can look here, for example, and I see my saxagliptin, okay, and by moving my cursor over it, I see very clearly that the indexers linked it to the subheading pharmacokinetics, and with the non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, they also linked it to the subheading drug therapy, okay, which is important to note. Now, if I wanted to do a slightly different search here, what I can do, of course, is I can go to Emtree just to make sure that we pick up the correct group. If we can go backwards a little bit. So let's look at our saxagliptin again, and we're interested in the broader term for saxagliptin, which we see here is our dipeptidal peptidase 4 inhibitors. I can now click on this, and this time I've got my explosion indicated here. So when I take this to the drug search form, I'm searching for this term and all its narrow term. Let's do that. And what I'd like to do this time is look for adverse drug reactions for this group of oral diabetics. So by holding down the control key, I'm going to look for the adverse drug reaction, which looks for reactions of recommended dose in humans, and also drug toxicity, which goes a little bit further and also includes animals, but also outside the recommended dose. So we have adverse drug reaction or drug toxicity, and we have our search, and we have a number of results, which of course we can now combine with our type 2. Combine using it. Now, interesting with the combination as well is that you can, of course, use the advanced combination as well. So maybe, for example, you would like to look at taking out saxagliptin, for example. So if we do our advanced search here, we could, for example, have number 7, because we've already done that combination of number 4 and number 6, not number 3. Okay, and that takes out some results there where saxagliptin is included in pharmacokinetics. So there are numerous combinations that you can do in building up your searches. And of course, as you can see here, once you have the search that you want, you have the option here to set up your email alert. Sorry, my mouse is a little bit jumpy. Set up your email alert here, or you can select the search and you can click on save. And that's, of course, where you can continue to come back to the search, edit the search, refine the search as new information comes in. Importantly, you need to either register yourself for username and password if you haven't done already, or log in using your username and password before setting up an email alert or a safe search. Chris, is it a good time to do the poll?